Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Space City X-Files, the podcast that explores all the mysteries of that unknown universe that we're all living in. I'm Rick, your host. We're back, and today you're in for even more of a treat because we're continuing on Secret Society Month. If you were with us last week, we did the mysterious Masonic organization, and today we're going to be going over one of the most powerful organizations like them, whose legends has now spanned decades. From the 1700s to the present day, this organization has supposedly been pulling the strings in the background for political and showbiz scenes all around the world. Now, modern day, it's popularized by actors and entertainers. You may notice clues by their symbols of their hands thrown up together in the air, representing the triangle, or perhaps the all-seeing eye, or maybe even a secret handshake or two. It just depends on what you're watching. Get your tinfoil hats ready, folks, because today we're going to dive into the world of the Illuminati. A quick few announcements. Space City X-Files appreciates you listening to today's show. Whether you're a new friend or a long-time listener, one thing you're going to notice is that we run no commercial ads here. That allows us to give the best possible experience, and we'll do everything we can to keep it that way. This is where your support plays a huge role. After you listen, if you can take a few minutes, whatever platform you're on, to leave us a review. If you can't leave a review, hit that 5-star. That shows love too. Your feedback helps us grow by bringing awareness to the show, which in turn will bring in new listeners, and that's exactly what we need. If by any chance you would like to support the show with a monetary donation, you can go to our website, click on the Support Us tab, and there you can type in any amount you want. All proceeds will always go towards the improvement of the program. We thank you dearly for your consideration, and that will conclude today's announcements. All right, I think we made it through the opening pretty quickly. I try to get through it quick. I've read a lot of reviews on different podcasts, and I see that people don't like it whenever they have like 3 kinds of different openers or a real long, lengthy musical number, like if you were opening a Broadway show or something. And that's not what we want to do. We want to try to get through the opening as quickly as possible, without you running off on us, and just saying a few words about our program. Now that we've done that, I think we can go ahead and start the show. And I hope you appreciate the fact that we run through it as quick as possible. All right, so we're going to get going. Like we said, the Illuminati's known existence is rather short, meaning from the time it formed until the time it was allegedly disbanded was a rather quick amount of time. And so what we can do is we can recap that first. Afterwards, we're going to look at the conspiracy surrounding the group, and man, are there a lot of them. And after that, we'll go over any other strange facts that we may have found during the investigation of this case. And then we're going to wrap it up with our own personal hypothesis on what we make of the mythical order of the Illuminati. All right, sit tight. We'll be right back. So, the Illuminati, traditionally referred to as the Bavarian Illuminati, was a secret group started in Germany around May 1st of 1776 with the goal to organize and oppose former superstitions and religious influence over public life, along with the abuse of state power. So basically what they wanted to create more of a separation between church and state. It's always a hot topic these days, so it seems like even now people are still going over or trying to separate those two organizations. This era of time that the Illuminati was started in, to use the correct parlance, was dubbed the Enlightened Era. Okay, and to summarize what it was is around the 17th and 18th century, the people were growing tired of the restrictions imposed on them by the monarch and the Catholic Church. So, in the spirit of freeing themselves and to start the process of thinking outside the box, people decided enough was enough, and a movement began where the people wanted to start focusing on science and philosophy and the pursuit of happiness outside of what had so far been deemed the norm at those times, right? They wanted different. They wanted something else. They wanted the freedom to think for themselves. And this is the very idea that caused a man named Adam Weishaupt to come up with the idea of this secret society, first calling it the Bund der Perfectibilisten, or in English, the Covenant of Perfectibility. History revealed that this name was short-lived. All right. Adam was a professor of canon law and practical philosophy at a university called Ingolstadt. And during his tenure, he happened to be the only non-clerical professor at the institution, which also happened to be ran by Jesuits. All right, so he wasn't affiliated with the church. He was a God-fearing man, but he wasn't a worker for the church, if you will. If you don't know what the Jesuits were, they were like inspectors for the Catholic Church who traveled and lived in towns all over the area, and they worked in local establishments. But they did that basically to make sure that people were living according to biblical law. All right, so it wasn't enough to go to church back in those days. No, they had people from the church working in all over where you were, everywhere inside your home, and they were basically monitoring you. All right, so the popular opinion was they were there to really protect the interests of the church in towns and cities. Most of the time, it dealt with places of business like schools or universities, along with other political positions. Go figure that, right? Those are the most influential, positions of employment in our civilization. So, of course, they want to make sure that the information that people are getting in these universities and the ideas that the politicians are having are in line with what the Catholic Church thinks and feels. So now, sensing people were getting tired of this overreach, the Jesuits were dissolved by the Pope at the time, but that didn't stop them from continuing on with their antics, if you will, to play favorites amongst themselves, because they elevated each other into positions of power. So basically they had their own little society going, This included disparaging non-Catholics who worked alongside them. So if you weren't Catholic, they were trying to run you out, This is what happens to Adam Weishaupt while he's employed at the university. And so he's like, oh, hell no. So he says he's going to go seek out his own group to be a part of. And the most popular group at the time, well, that wasn't in relationship to the Catholic Church that fit his ideology, were the Freemasons. There was another group at the time, the Rosicrucians, but they considered themselves to be fellow Christians, basically workers of other Christianity. The Freemasons didn't necessarily need you to be a Christian. It was more of a social a group, fraternity, if you will. And so they didn't really care if you're a Christian or not. So Adam joins, and he sees some things that he likes, but it's not quite a fit. It's not quite what he's looking for. So he and a few fellow Masons that he befriended, they break off and they start their own group that had the same rank structure as the Freemasons, only they were going to push a different agenda. All right. Now, they realized that the name they picked was no good, probably because they couldn't say it in one breath. So they rebranded, changing the name to Illuminating Norden, or Order of the Illuminati, and they adapted the owl of Minerva as their official symbol. So they're off and running, recruiting and pushing their agenda of enlightenment and freedom from the oppression of the church and the monarch. They claimed they needed to change things, and to do that, they needed to basically infiltrate social scenes. So they instructed their members to branch out into society and look for a certain type of person to recruit into their secret order. Things were going pretty well at first. They were able to enlist some pretty high-ranking officials and even a baron or two. But then it kind of faltered, mostly because of internal squabbling, so it seemed at the time. All right, so then Adam comes up with the plan. he's like, let's infiltrate the local Freemasons. Since they're like us, it would probably be more easier for them to take into our fold. And so they decide they're gonna, they're gonna infiltrate the local Freemasons, and they're gonna slowly take over their lodges and make them their own. And that's exactly what they were able to do in a shorter period of time. All right, so it wasn't an easy task, but that's what they were able to do, and they accomplished what they wanted in some facts. Now, once they were able to accomplish this, they really started to thrive because now they had the numbers and they had more influential people, they had more money, and they were helping each other out to achieve new heights in business and politics. And they eventually start adding orders to neighboring states and towns. All right, so things couldn't have been going better at that point. But then all of a sudden, oddly, it just kind of just nosedives again. All right, and then the inner squabbling starts again. So Adam and his right hand man Adolf Nick, Adolf Nick was basically the man who was really accredited for boosting this order. All right, it was him that decided to really really infiltrate these social scenes, to infiltrate the Freemasons. It was him that basically wrote up the ranking systems, that wrote up the rituals. He was kind of the brain trust of the group. Adam was the one that organized it, but it was really him that was accredited with really pulling things together. And so they had a falling out, and Nick said, I'm out of here, and pretty much accuses Adam Weishaupt of becoming the very thing that he set out to oppose. And it's like, you live long enough to see your heroes become villains, right? Anyways, Adam's like, whatever, I'll run this thing myself. And that doesn't work out too well. Shortly after Nick left, Adam and the Illuminati would tangle with the Rosicrucians, who were also infiltrated inside the Freemason organization. But they had a bigger following than the Illuminati. And so the Rosicrucians start a smear campaign calling the Illuminati godless heathens and all other sorts of accusations. And word of this starts to spread, and it finally spreads all the way to the local government. Now, remember, as I told you, the Rosicrucians had a bigger attachment to the Catholic Church. So this allowed them to, and everybody knew that, so this allowed them to play the card, well, we're God-fearing people, we're people of the church, these people are not. And that really turned, the popular opinion against the Illuminati. The Rosicrucians, they were Christians, but they still wanted the freedom. They were Christians to a certain point. They wanted the freedom to still practice their ritual magic and their esoteric knowledge and stuff like that. But it didn't really interfere or intermingle with their, I guess, with what the church wanted at the time. All right. They were kind of a secret back then, too. So not much was known about them yet. Only thing that people knew was that they were more affiliated with the church and the Illuminati wasn't. All right. So the word had spread to the local government. And now the local Prince Charles Theodore, who was secretly an Illuminati member. And if you remember in the last episode of Over the Freemasons, this was the guy I was telling you about who instated the order to rid the population of secret societies. But he was secretly an Illuminati member. But when the smear campaign spread and then people started to look around and they said, "Oh shit, there's an Illuminati member sitting in every kind of governing body position in the country and in the church," Charles Theodore's hand was forced, and so in a panic, he basically distanced himself from the group, from all the groups, and he immediately banned all secret societies, especially the Illuminati, and then seized all their assets. So it's said that Adam Weishaupt fled and settled in the town of Gotha, and he stopped all of his rebellious ways, and he made amends with the church, and made amends with the Catholic Church, and lived out his days preaching the good word of the gospel. Now, keep in mind, I got this information from the Catholic Encyclopedia, so the link will be in the show notes, and it's an interesting read. It's an interesting choice that they decided to put him inside the encyclopedia, and I think they did this because there was a lot of talk that the Illuminati was still infiltrated and still alive and thriving inside of the Catholic Church. So I think this was something that they put in there to kind of put to rest. Like, well, see, he denounced his evil ways, and he lived out his life in good standing. So it's interesting. You might want to check that out and read it in their own words. Anyways, that's it. In the story, that's the history of the Illuminati. Or so they want you to believe. That's the end of the documented history, at least, right? So we have a whole crap load of conspiracies to dive into now. So let's not delay. Let's get right on that. Sit tight. I suppose the biggest conspiracy about the Illuminati was that it never truly went away. You know, why would it, really? After only a 10-year span and being able to acquire so much power, so many connections in high up places, so much admiration, I mean, surely everyone realized the benefits of having friends in high places. Now, sure, the goal may have started out as a rage against oppression of church and state, but power tends to corrupt. You know what I mean? Would it have been too far of a stretch for Adam and his acquaintances to say, okay, we no longer need to try and change the world? No, our mission has moved far beyond that. Instead, we'll take it for everything it's worth and live like kings. They did successfully infiltrate the Freemason organization, so what's to say they ever left? They did infiltrate the Catholic Church and other religions, so what's to say they ever left? They did infiltrate politics. What's to say they ever got out of it? It's that mindset that we're going to work in the background and we're going to be loyal to each other and we're going to change things from the inside and make this world the way we want it. It's that mindset that got them there in the first place and got them results. So why change it? Why stop that? It's worth noting, too, that the Freemasons didn't exactly require you to be a certain denomination. You simply had to just say you were a Christian or believe in some higher deity in some place, at least. That was good enough for them. It still is to this day. The point is that some Freemasons that were also Illuminati also held positions in the Catholic Church. So in reality, the Illuminati was already in religion, as I was saying just now. And that's the beginning of our first conspiracy. All right, so the popular opinion is that whenever you see a powerful Freemason, the possibility of there also being an Illuminati Grand Master present is highly probable. The lines kind of blurred between the two after the years had passed and the overall goal had changed, you know. Take, for instance, one case. Here we are. The election of the United States president in the 1800s. So, according to history, the clock struck midnight for the shadowy Illuminati group in 1784, and their names should have faded away into nothingness. A mockery for the old-timers to sit around and scoff at. Remember that old group of fools who thought their open mind, religion-free rhetoric could overthrow our religion and government? Whatever happened to them? One French priest named Augustin Birrell didn't see it that way, though. By 1789, just 5 years later, he was trying to get the license plate number of the runaway bus that had just leveled his fucking country. All right? The Catholic Church was king-like. They had a monopoly on religion. To be French was to be Catholic at that time. All right? They were the second largest landowner in France, getting 10% tithe and 10% tax on all income. Let me say that again. They were the second largest landowner in France, getting 10% tithe and 10% tax on all income of all the people of all the land, and then in a blink of an eye, they became the single most target in the French Revolution after the monarch was removed, of course. Now, because of this, Augustin Birrell could only think of one organization who was cunning enough and ballsy enough to pull this feat off, and that was the Illuminati that he knew back home. It didn't help his suspicions when the first approved new organization for the country by the people was a group called the Cult of Reason. And that ain't no bullshit. That's the truth. This is the new, so they threw out the old monarch. They threw out the old way of doing things, and they voted and they installed a new one. Okay, you people stop beating the shit out of us, and we're going to reinstate whoever you want. And they elected a group called the Cult of Reason. And this very group had members who were known to belong to the secret society, the Illuminati. So immediately Burrell started to write scathing conspiracy theories and pamphlets, distributing them to whoever would read them. If they couldn't read them, he would read them for them. He was in this town. He was in the city squares. He was on his soapbox. He was trying to get anybody to listen who would listen, because he knew for a fact that they had just been hoodwinked again. All right. So Burrell stated that the Illuminati used their power of persuasion with the people in high places to quickly turn the tide against the monarch. They accomplished this, he said, by utilizing the Illuminated Freemasons. That was his word that he coined, the Illuminated Freemasons. All right, that was his term. And this is a very interesting idea, and it sounds very familiar to what happened in Bavaria, right? Only Theodore acted, and these people didn't, you know? So remember how we said that there were Freemasons who held positions in the church, and that they were possibly Illuminati also. So one of the main reasons the church became a target in the French Revolution was because they refused to accept the new terms of the new regime. Now, these new terms were ones that would still see them paid, still see them taken care of in every way. They didn't want to take everything they had. Only thing that it took away was their overreach over the people. Now, but because of a split vote, when it was put to vote, the vote was split of the clergy, the church refused to accept the terms, and that sparked a shitload of further chaos. Man, to have been a fly on the wall in those meetings. In hindsight, looking at it from now, it may have been easy to spot the Illuminati agents arguing against the new terms because they wanted the Catholic Church out of there. They didn't want a compromise. They wanted them out, you know. So it would have been like, we're still going to pay you, we're still going to take care of you, and all the regular priests were like, yeah, that sounds good to us, and then the agents were like, no, you're not going to take our reach over the people. Hell no. Why would they do this to us? We're ordained by God. They shouldn't be able to. And then they swung everybody on their side, and that was it. Anyway, so it could be easy to dismiss the ramblings of one person. But this guy, Burrell, wasn't alone in his theory. All right. So people started realizing what was going on too. By now the word had spread all throughout Europe, and John Robinson of England in 1797 would second Burrell's accusations, penning a powerful memo titled Proofs of Conspiracy Against All the Religions and Governments of Europe, carried on in the secret meetings of the Freemasons, the Illuminatis, and those in reading societies, those damn readers. They're the one. Those readers are the ones that are screwing everything up. Don't be reading. Just listen to us. All right. So a Freemason himself, Robinson, who definitely was probably on the up and up of what was going on, was worried that the irreligious Illuminati had gained control of the Masonic organization and perverted it, and was now working to root out all the, he quoted saying this, out all the religious establishments and overturn all the existent governments of Europe. Robinson and Burrell's warnings would reach the United States shortly afterwards, sparking great fear into the newly established nation, who were just years removed from their own revolutionary battle, mind you, for independence. The threat of the Illuminati was scary, but the rumors that it infiltrated Freemasonry, a group who followed many over from their European roots, created a secret society mania. There was madness going on, mayhem. People were worried, all kinds of crap. And so to live in those times, man, that must have been hella interesting. And so with the fierce battle waging for the next presidency between Thomas Jefferson and a Freemason and a front runner of the Republican Democratic Party, and another man named John Adams, the current president and leader of the Federalist Party, the Federalist Party, who were basically like the Conservative Party back then. Those were the Federalists. That was John Adams. Adams' party immediately jumped on the chance to call out Jefferson with the Illuminati accusation. All right. One, likely because he was a Freemason, and the other because Jefferson's party had ideas in ideology that resembled the initial goals of the Illuminati. Like, you want to take a guess at what it was? If you took more separation between church and state for 500, then you just won. All right, and they wanted people to rely on their own knowledge and learn from philosophy and science. All right, they wanted that to lead the way, and not so much of church. And it doesn't sound like a bad thing, like you hear that and you think, okay, well, big deal. They wanted people to think, more realistically, more, I don't know, like more things that were going to help them develop as a country, and not so much that like the old ways, which were oppressive, in all actuality and all reality. And so, but they didn't see it that way. And so at first, the plan from Adams' team, John Adams' team, worked. All right, it worked. People were starting to, join against Jefferson and kind of tear him down a little bit. But Jefferson was crafty, and somehow his team, brilliant campaign they had back then, was able to reverse the accusations and actually convinced the popular opinion and the people that it was actually Adams who was the Illuminati, and that he was trying to enslave the people of the young nation back under the oppressive yoke that they just broke free from. So it was an impressive strategy, and it worked, So Jefferson's team pretty much said, no, we ain't. You are. And the people said, oh, shit, we never heard that before. And so they started saying, nah, Adams, you're the you're the Illuminati member. And so it seemed simple, but it worked, And but really, let me tell you something. What really made it work was that people remember what life was like over there. All right, they remember having to pay the tithes and pay the 10% on tax in the church, and if you needed anything, you had to go to the church. The police officer, the police were basically working for the church. The officials were working for the church. They were the biggest landowners in town, and if you didn't pay your tithe, you were thrown out of your house, or worse, or disassociated, disfellowshipped. It's terrible, and when the thought of that, after having fought for your freedom, and by the grace of God winning, the thought of going back to anything that resembled the old way would honestly just be terrifying. I don't blame them for reacting the way that they did, And so that's why I think it worked. So by 1801, surely enough, Thomas Jefferson had become the third president of the United States. Now, after the election, if you were part of the Federalist Party, it was hard, which was John Adams' group. It was hard to not have a lump in your throat if you knew about the rumors of the Illuminati making their way into the United States. All right, so here's another interesting fact. If the theory was correct about the Illuminati reaching the United States, for instance, like this election we just covered just now. Now, both parties were trying to pin it on each other, who was working with the secret society and who was working for good. But the reality is both parties could have been part of the Illuminati, for all we know, especially since they adopted the structure of the Freemasons, because that's how, remember we were talking about, that's how the Illuminati is fashioned. And so in Freemasonry, they weren't trying to be organized with everyone. They weren't trying to work towards a single goal, political goal. They had structure, sure, like ranking systems, but their structure pertained to their hierarchy, right? They were more laid back. and different lodges tried to advance their efficiency over their own lodge, not somebody else's. They could really care less about other lodges at the time. They were focused on themselves, and so sometimes even lodges even feuded, and some plainly even refused to recognize another lodge as a lodge at all. In fact, if two large lodges competed for members in the same area, other grand lodges had to basically pick their favorite, and that lodge would be the one that prevailed, and the other ones had to either close, dissociate, or absorb. But no matter what, when push came to shove, they would always support a fellow Mason. A Mason. It was a brother above all. So if one Mason is successful, they're all successful. It's thought that once the Illuminati changed their business plan to, changing the world to, now to ruling in the background and becoming filthy rich, winning a popularity contest or changing the world became less important. It's thought that this is where the misconception that a new world order is the main goal. They didn't need it to be a new world order front and center for everybody to see. They don't need that. With them in high enough places, important enough to sway the popular vote, the new world order could already be here, and no one would even be the wiser. You know what I mean? So this same thought transitions us into our final controversy. To what extent did the Illuminati survive, and whom did they further infiltrate? So it's no secret that many sports players, actors, and other entertainers have gone out of their way to hint that they are associated with this secret society. In response to countless number of conspiracy theories and accusations, many of these entertainers had to come out and claim that it's just harmless fun, and others that they have adapted the symbols to fit their own belief. Now, this, of course, gave birth to a broader notion that all of Hollywood is ran by a shadow organization, pulling the strings in the background and controlling the propaganda that is fed to the public in the forms of movies and TV series. It was accredited to one Illuminati Grandmaster once stating, "Whoever controls the media controls the world," and nobody understood that better than the Illuminati. Is this true, and has it really happened? Well, truthfully, there would be no way of really truly knowing. Even if some high-ranking Illuminati master decided one day, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired of being filthy rich. I'm tired of living my life every day in luxury. Today is a day that I expose all my secrets and expose this cabal that I'm working with. So even if he did that, the chances of anyone taking him seriously are pretty slim. You know what I mean? Take for instance, look at the alien information that is coming out lately. That's been plastered all over Twitter, X, and Reddit, and all the social media sites. About them discovering these Nazca mummy bodies. About the whistleblowers coming out saying that for sure we have the alien technology and it's being held, by private military sectors. Take a look at all that, all this information that's been put out there. Is it on the daily news? No. Is it on people's lips daily like it should be? That should be the talk of the town. No, it's not. In fact, it gets swept away out of the front page pretty quickly. And even in this case here, going back to the topic, in fact, there have been countless people who were formerly associated with the Illuminati, they claim, or they were high up Freemasons. Countless people who have came out and done just that. They came out, they spilled their guts. They said, "Hey, I'm tired of this. I had my conscience finally got a hold of me. This is what's happening," and they were just written off as crazy conspiracy theorists. And so some things are just too deep-seated that no matter what you'll do, you'll never sway the popular opinion, it seems. If the media is controlled, then there's no way that one person could ever contend with that barrage of influence. It's just too wide. All right, that's going to do it for the conspiracy section. These are the main ones, of course. If we did all of them, we'd have to take a week-long series to make it a week-long series to meaningfully cover all of them. You know what I mean? So if you find this topic interesting, as we say, we are just an introductory. There's no way we can get all the pertinent information in there. So as always, I recommend that you check it out for yourself in your own free time. When you are researching something interesting, it's never a waste of time. All right. So if you feel like this topic piques your interest, then get on the web and start doing. Even me, like now that I put this episode out, I mean, this is not it for me. I'm not gonna say, okay, well, I did a show about it and I did a couple of days worth of research on it. That's not it. Especially if there haven't been revealed, true or false yet. This is something that's going to continue on because I find it interesting, and the more information that develops, we'll be doing more shows over it. I'm sure. We already have a schedule now, but if something were to come up, of course we'd put it out there to you. But anyways, this is going to transition us over into our personal theories segment, where we share with you our personal take. In this case, being what exactly is going on with the Order of the Illuminati. All right, so after reviewing the history of the origins and all the evidence, I personally have to say that I believe that if not the Illuminati, that there is some organization present day. It may have it may have transitioned or transmuted into something else by now, but there's something present day at work that has infiltrated different positions of power throughout the world. It could have even started out as many different secret societies, but merged into one big one. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they all realized they needed to join in together. Or maybe they agreed to at least work towards the same goal. But I believe that there is something there. It's no secret that the rich and the powerful have always held sway in the world. So whichever society that could attract the richest people is probably going to be the dominant one. All right? So I don't think that the Illuminati were the ones who gave birth to this idea, though. The Illuminati started out with the idea that there needed to be a separation of church and state, and that the overreach of the church and the monarch into the public needed to stop, or ease up, But as we said earlier, power can corrupt, and I think that's exactly what happened here. In the beginning, it was something born out of necessity, long before the Illuminati came along, and then it just kind of morphed into a desire for personal advancement and gain. The Illuminati, though, may have advanced this progress to never-before-seen heights. So they're credited with a lot of, I guess, of what has been able to be accomplished. But still to say, though, I don't believe that they're alone in their mission. And if it's not them now, I think it's somebody that basically came from them, Anyways, this is what I think. And, of course, there are many different interpretations of this matter. And if you care to share with us what you think, the conversation will continue on all social media platforms. And, of course, as always, you can send me an email at info@spacecityxfiles.com. Go ahead and send it there. I'd be glad to hear what you think. If you want to get it down on a recording and make an episode of it, if you got your information together, I'm not opposed to that either. So just reach out to me, and I'd love to talk to you. All right, so that's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed today's episode, though, we're going to remind you, if you can spare a few minutes after the conclusion, go ahead and take a few seconds to leave us a review. Write it out. Hit that 5-star if you can't leave a review. And if you can't leave a review, then I'll tell you what, just go to our Facebook page, and the link is going to be posted up there. Go ahead and just hit share and share it to all your friends. That right there helps out so much. Man, you don't even understand. Like getting us in front of all these people out there in the world who are searching for somebody to explain all these shady and mysterious things to them. That's what we want to do. That's our passion. We take the time to do the research. We're not teachers. We're not experts on this, but I believe that we do have the ability to investigate. We have the ability and the desire to want to find out why. And because of that, since we've already done that work, it just makes sense to share it with you if you're interested, because we care about you. We want you to know. We want you to know what's going on in the world, because that's how I started. I wanted to know. I listened to one podcast, like I told you. I thought it was going to be a paranormal podcast, but it turns out it was like a mixed bag. But the first episode I listened to was a conspiracy one. I think it was over MK Ultra. But man, that had me hooked right there. I was like, I couldn't believe these things actually took place. I was like, this has to be false. And then I get on the internet and I look it up, and it's in the FBI archives. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, so it's all real, man. Like, this stuff is not make believe. Even though they would like you to think it is, it's not. So it's happening. It's out there. And so your best bet is to have a conspiracy. I'm not gonna say theorist. I'm gonna say conspiracy realist friend, because they're gonna be the ones to let you know what's happening, keep you informed before it goes down. You know what I mean? And that's what we can be for you. We can be your friends, be your homies out here, making sure that you're up to date. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, your reviews help out so much. So please drop that review for us and drop those likes, and help us grow. Help us grow. Help us break through the ceilings. Help us reach all kinds of people, and so we can continue to make progress. All right, I think that's gonna about do it. Next week episode, we're continuing on Secret Society Month, and it's gonna be over adrenochrome. And man, that one it's tied into all kinds of things. It's tied into Freemasonry somehow. It's tied into the Illuminati somehow. It's tied into Hollywood. It's tied into politics. It's tied into human trafficking. This one gets deep. You know what I mean? And it's kind of a rough one too. All right, I'm not gonna lie to you. Adrenochrome has a lot to do with a lot of very sensitive topics. So just be prepared. That's all I can say. I'm not going to give away too much, but anyways, that'll be out next Tuesday. So if you want to hear that episode, you want to let your friends know about it, let everybody know about it, let your people know, it's going to be a good one. All right. One last thing before we go, just to remind you, the products are still up on the website. We got plenty. I know for some reason the products, the website says only one left, but we got a bunch of them. I just made a whole other batch. I got some other scents for beard oil coming up. I got some other scents for the body spray and the balm. We do have the bath salts made, the bath bombs. We do have the candles ready. They'll be here next week, I believe. And of course, we got the shirts and the stickers and everything on there. So if you want to represent, and really what that does is it helps us out. It supports the show. You know what I mean? Like I said last episode, we have big goals. We would like to expand. We'd like to grow. We'd like to hire some people to help us put these things together. We'd also like to do some traveling for on-site interviews and documentations, and shoot some video there on site of at the places where some of this conspiracy went on. And I fund a lot of it. You know what I mean? I have another business. I've been doing this business for going on 7 years now, and so I fund a lot of this. But hey, if you would like to help, throw a couple of bucks in there for us, I'd appreciate that. And of course, it's going to go to just bettering the stuff, and that'll help us accomplish our goals and help us get some more interesting media for you, really. And so when you buy these things from the store, which many of you have already done, and I just like to say, I know I forgot to shout you out last week, but I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. You don't know that. I did not expect to get an outpour of love like you did. Honestly, I don't know where it came from. I really don't. But God works in mysterious ways. So I want to thank you for buying from us, and shipments will be out shortly. And I did get your request, and we're thinking about how we can make that happen for you. And I'll have more information on that next week. I don't want to talk about things that I don't know for sure yet. But for you that those that requested the products that are not up there yet, I'll have an update coming for you soon. All right. Anything else? No, I think that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for this week's episode. By God, I hope you join us for the next one, because it's gonna be bomb, baby. Till we meet again, this is Rick on behalf of the Space City X-Files, telling you to keep questioning, keep listening, and keep exploring, my friends. I love you, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Space City X-Files. Goodbye.